Have you ever wondered why the love between a mother and a daughter can be so sweet, yet so painful at the same time? Why is it that we can forgive the whole world but struggle to forgive our own mother or our own daughter? And have you ever felt that maybe these conflicts aren't accidents at all, but part of something deeper, perhaps a soul contract made long before this life began? Welcome back to Son.Mindfulness, a place where we pause, reflect, and learn to find peace in the ordinary rhythms of life. My name is Son, and today we'll explore a very special topic: the soul contract between every mother and daughter. This is not just the story of two people. It's the story of millions of souls learning how to love each other through different roles and lifetimes. You see, many people carry quiet regrets in their hearts. A mother who has passed away, yet the words were never said. A daughter who has grown up, but the distance between them keeps growing too. And sometimes we ask ourselves, is there still a way to understand, to heal, to love again, before it's too late? If you've ever carried those questions in your heart, this video is for you. Because today, we'll uncover why the wounds between mothers and daughters often hold sacred messages. Why pain can become the path to wisdom, and how through compassion, forgiveness, and gratitude, we can begin to heal. Not only ourselves, but generations after us. Please stay with me until the end of this video, because maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that the one who hurt you most is the very soul you chose to learn love with. If this is your first time visiting Son.Mindfulness, I invite you to subscribe and join this journey toward peace and awakening. Share this message with someone who might need to hear it today. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. May your life be surrounded by pure love. Now, let's begin our journey to uncover what lies behind all pain, a sacred design of the soul that perhaps you are already living in. Part 1. The wound. There is a very particular kind of pain. It doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the people we love the most. Have you ever felt that way? A mother sits in her quiet kitchen staring at a phone that no longer rings. A daughter, late at night, rereads a short text from her mother, just a few lines, but the words cut straight through her heart. Love, which should be the warmest thing in life, sometimes becomes the very thing that hurts us the deepest. I once met a woman who told me that when her mother passed away, she cried, not because her mother was gone, but because in all those decades, they had never truly understood each other. Every meeting felt like a silent war. The mother complained, the daughter avoided, the daughter wanted to be seen, the mother only saw what was not enough. And time kept moving, until one of them was no longer there. Perhaps you felt that too, standing somewhere between love and pain, between gratitude and resentment, not knowing whether to reach out or step away. The mother thinks, I just want what's best for her. The daughter thinks, she never thinks I'm good enough. Both love deeply, but that love is tangled with expectation, fear, and wounds carried from the past. I want you to imagine this. When we are small, we look up to our mother as if she were a god. But as we grow, the image begins to crack. Mother is no longer perfect. And in the daughter's eyes, the fractures begin to show. That is the first moment when love meets reality. And in that reality, they begin to hurt each other. Not out of cruelty, but out of not knowing how to love differently. A mother's love often hides behind worry. Don't go that way, you'll get hurt. Try harder, I just want you to be happy. But what the daughter hears is, you don't trust me. You don't see me as enough. And so, two hearts slowly close. Not because they stopped loving, but because they loved so much and didn't know how to love well. I remember an older friend once told me, my daughter is exactly like I was when I was young, and maybe that's why I can't stand her sometimes. I smiled, because there's a deep truth in that. Sometimes we hurt the ones we love, simply because they reflect the parts of ourselves we haven't yet forgiven. Do you see that in your own relationships? Maybe you've said things your mother once said, even though you swore you never would. Or maybe you've seen your daughter fall silent, and in that silence, you hear the echo of your mother's voice from long ago. These repetitions aren't accidents. They are wounds passed down through generations, energies left unhealed. Psychology calls it intergenerational trauma. Buddhism calls it karmic recurrence. Different words, same truth. Until a wound is seen with the light of understanding, it will continue to pass on through words, through silence, through the look in one's eyes. I've met many people who come to me seeking peace. When I ask what hurts you the most, they don't talk about work or money or illness. They talk about their mothers. And strangely, when I ask mothers the same question, they talk about their daughters. It's as if two souls stand at opposite ends of a single thread, pulling each other with all their love and all their fear. But if we could stop for just a moment, stop letting the mind repeat the same old stories. She doesn't understand me, she never listens, and simply sit in silence, breathe, and look into each other's eyes. We might feel something unexpected. Beneath the pain there's a love so deep, no words can hold it. A love that existed long before these two people met in this lifetime. And maybe the wound was never a punishment. Maybe it was a soul agreement made long ago, before either was born. A promise that said, let's meet again. Let's try to grow together, even if it hurts. Maybe this isn't punishment. Maybe it's something our souls planned long ago. Part 2. The Hidden Design. Sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the very souls who have loved us the deepest. It sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? But the longer we live, the truer it becomes. Once, after I gave a talk on karma and family ties at a small monastery in California, a woman in her 60s came to me quietly afterward. Her eyes were kind, but they carried a deep weariness. She said, "Teacher, I've spent my whole life trying to be a good mother, but my daughter only seems to see my faults. I love her so much it hurts, yet she looks at me as if I'm her enemy." I asked softly, "Have you ever felt that way about your own mother?" She paused, then tears filled her eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "I once was that daughter." I smiled gently. Because in that very moment, she saw what Yogananda called the soul's choice, the hidden design of karma. Yogananda once said, "The soul chooses its family not from logic but from vibration." Our souls don't choose families by reason, but by resonance. In other words, you didn't get your mother by chance. Your daughter didn't come to you by coincidence. Every meeting has a quiet purpose, not for comfort, but for awakening. Buddhism calls this karmic causation. When a seed of karma remains unhealed, it seeks the perfect soil to grow again. And that soil is often found in those closest to us. So if you find yourself stuck in the same conflicts repeating, if a single phrase from your daughter cuts deep because your mother once said it to you, if you notice the same fear flowing from your heart into hers, then perhaps you are standing inside a karmic circle that's asking to be seen. When the soul wants to grow, it does not choose the easy path. It chooses relationships deep enough to awaken what has been asleep. A controlling mother is learning to let go. A rebellious daughter is learning confidence and forgiveness. They do not meet to prove who's right. They meet to awaken each other. That's why, from a spiritual lens, pain does not mean you are wrong. Pain means your soul is stretching. It is growing. And when we begin to see this, something inside shifts. The question changes from "Why is this happening to me?" to "What am I being invited to learn here?" It's a small shift in thought, but it transforms suffering into the path of practice. I remember a young woman who hadn't spoken to her mother for 3 years. Their bond was buried under resentment and silence. One day she picked up Autobiography of a Yogi and stopped at a single line. Every pain is the seed of expansion. That sentence made her cry. She realized that maybe her mother hadn't come to make her happy, but to open her heart, even if it was in the clumsiest, most painful way. And when her heart opened, she saw something she had never seen before. Her mother was just another daughter once, a woman who had been hurt, who had longed for love, and who was never taught how to express it. The anger began to dissolve, because it's hard to keep hating someone once you can see their pain. Yogananda taught that souls never choose relationships for revenge. They choose them to finish lessons left undone. Like two actors in the long play of reincarnation, this time we play mother and daughter, next time we may switch roles, just to complete the lesson of love. Buddhism calls this transforming karmic ties through wisdom. No one remains an enemy forever, as long as one person is willing to look inward. When the light of awareness shines through, karma stops being a chain and becomes a path to awakening. So the next time your heart aches because of your mother or daughter, pause. Take one mindful breath and whisper gently, maybe this isn't happening to me, but for me. Perhaps this is how the soul sends its invitation. An invitation to open your eyes again and realize that behind every crack, there is a hidden design waiting to be understood. Part 3. The Mirror Effect. Have you ever noticed that the people who anger us the most are often the ones most like us? I remember a mother once told me during a talk in San Diego, "My daughter is so stubborn, so hard-headed. No matter what I say, she never listens." Then she sighed, paused, and admitted softly, "But sometimes I see she's exactly how I was when I was young." I smiled because in her complaint was a profound truth that no one ever teaches us. Every relationship is a mirror. And the closest ones, especially between mother and daughter, reflect most clearly what we haven't yet faced within ourselves. A mother may see in her daughter the same fears, weaknesses, or silenced voice she carried all her life. A daughter may inherit not just her mother's genes, but her mother's unresolved emotions. A daughter who can't express anger often has a mother who never allowed herself to be angry. A mother who constantly worries about her child often carries the same anxiety from her own childhood. And so, generation after generation, they replay the same melody, just in different voices. Buddhism calls this karmic continuity. Psychology calls it family patterning. We don't only inherit physical traits, we inherit emotional memory. Things never spoken, yet deeply present in our eyes, our tone, our reactions. Once, after a talk, a young woman came to me with trembling hands. She said, "Every time my mother criticizes me, I freeze. I want to speak up, but it's like my throat closes. And after she leaves, I just cry." I asked her gently, "When your mother was young, was she allowed to speak when she disagreed?" The woman was silent for a long time, then whispered, "No, my grandfather was very strict. She always kept quiet. Maybe I learned that from her." Do you see it? A mother's silence becomes the daughter's voice that cannot speak. The anger swallowed in one lifetime returns as tears in the next. What is unhealed in parents finds its way into the hearts of their children, until someone, somewhere in that lineage, wakes up enough to stop and look into the mirror that life is holding up. And sometimes that mirror is standing right in front of you. Your own daughter. If we can be humble enough to ask, "What is she reflecting in me?" then every conflict becomes a doorway to transformation. I once heard a beautiful line, "It's not her fault, it's your mirror." But understanding this isn't easy. The ego, the part of us that insists I'm right, reacts instantly. "No, she's the one who's wrong. I just want what's best for her." Yet the universe never sends us the wrong person. It only sends us the necessary one so that we can see ourselves. A strict mother may be learning gentleness. A defiant daughter may be learning respect. And when both pause long enough to observe, the mirror begins to shine. In Buddhism, there's a teaching called contemplating the reflective nature of conditions. It means learning to see yourself through others. When you see someone angry, ask, why does their anger disturb me? Perhaps because you're holding a similar anger you haven't acknowledged. When you think your child is selfish, ask, have I also closed my heart before? Too afraid to be hurt? Too afraid to give? Reflection is always fair. It isn't here to punish us. It's here to illuminate the parts we've avoided. Neuroscience even supports this. In our brains are mirror neurons, cells that allow us to feel what others feel. We unconsciously mirror the emotional energy around us. That's why when a mother is anxious, the child feels uneasy. When a mother is calm, the child feels safe. It's not about what we say, it's about what we radiate. Which means, every time you heal a part of yourself, you're healing the relationship too. You don't need to make the other person change. You just need to change your vibration, and the mirror will reflect something new. One mother told me that after years of resentment, she decided to meditate 10 minutes each morning. She didn't pray for her daughter to change. She simply repeated one thought, may you be at peace. May you feel loved. She never said it aloud. 3 months later, her daughter called and said, Mom, you've changed. I feel calm when I talk to you now. That is the power of the mirror. When you change within, the world reflects it back. So if today you're hurting because of someone you love, remember, pain doesn't always mean they've hurt you. It may mean you're finally seeing yourself through them. And in that moment, instead of asking why are they like this, ask, what part of me needs a little more love right now? Because sometimes the soul doesn't send us people to teach, it sends us people to reveal. That is the miracle of the mirror effect, where every conflict can become a meditation, and every loved one can become a teacher. When we begin to see ourselves in that mirror, anger softens, understanding blooms, and love, true love, finds its way back home. Part 4. The breaking point. There are moments when everything seems to fall apart. Words that once felt harmless turn into fire, burning through love and years of effort. A glance, a single sentence, a slammed door, and suddenly, affection turns into silence. I once heard a mother say, we haven't spoken in 2 years. I used to think if my daughter doesn't need me, then I don't need her either. But as she spoke, her eyes filled with tears, her hands clutching a handkerchief as if trying to hold on to something already broken. We've all been there. The breaking point, where the heart no longer knows whether to move forward or retreat. You've tried everything and nothing seems to work. You feel misunderstood, rejected, abandoned, and for a moment you start to believe that love has died. But Yogananda once said, beyond karma lies grace. Beyond the realm of karma, there is grace. In other words, when you have reached the end of your pain, that is where grace begins. The breaking point is not the end. It's the beginning of surrender, not the surrender of despair, but the surrender of ego, of control, to let love, divine and unconditional, enter. A young woman once told me that after a bitter argument, she swore never to go home again. That night, lying awake listening to the rain, she suddenly remembered her mother folding her clothes when she was a child. She began to cry, not from guilt, but because, for the first time, she saw the loneliness her mother had carried all along. In that moment, something melted. There were no apologies, no victories, just 2 tired hearts, and between them, a soft light began to spread, the light of grace. Grace doesn't arrive through logic. It comes when we stop trying to be right. It comes when we allow ourselves to be human and realize that love doesn't need conditions to exist. In Yogananda's teachings, the Divine Mother symbolizes the infinite love of the divine, a love that never judges, never compares, never demands. He taught that when a person reaches the end of their own strength, when every effort has shattered, the energy of the Divine Mother can finally enter. Because only then is the heart empty enough to receive. Like any earthly mother, the Divine Mother never abandons her child. Even if the child rebels, runs away, or rejects her love, she waits, quietly, patiently, arms open, ready to embrace them as if nothing ever happened. If you've ever been a mother in pain, know that the Divine Mother is holding you too. If you've ever felt like a child who's been forgotten, know that she weeps with you. She doesn't pull you out of suffering. She sits with you inside it. And in that stillness, she teaches you that forgiveness is the highest form of love. Someone once asked me, "Teacher, how do I forgive someone who isn't sorry?" I replied, "Forgiveness isn't forgetting their mistake. It's freeing your soul from the weight of resentment. Forgiveness doesn't rewrite the past. It opens the door to a new future. And the moment we choose to let go, grace begins to move, quiet as a breeze, yet powerful enough to heal generations." Buddhism says, when the mind is calm, the world is calm. When your heart softens, your relationships soften too. A short message, a gentle glance. Sometimes that's all it takes for a miracle to unfold. A mother once told me, "I didn't do anything, teacher. I just meditated every morning and wished my daughter peace." Then one day she came home, rested her head on my shoulder like she used to as a child. I smiled, because that is grace. Not effort, not control, just a heart that has finally opened. When the heart opens, karma melts like mist in sunlight. You no longer need the other person to change because you already have. And when you change, the world and those within it begin to change too. So if you're standing at your breaking point, please don't despair. That may be the very place where grace is entering. Close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath, and imagine a pair of gentle arms, not of any human being, but of the Divine Mother herself, embracing you softly, whispering, "You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You only need to be willing to be healed." And when you feel that truth, the cracks in your heart will no longer be wounds, but windows of light, guiding you home to yourself. Part 5. The Practice of Transformation. Understanding is one thing, but living that understanding is an entirely different journey. Many people have told me, "I know I should forgive, but every time I remember, my heart still hurts." And I often reply, "That's okay." Forgiveness doesn't happen in a moment. It happens in each breath. We can't heal through thinking alone. The heart must be trained like someone learning to play an instrument, note by note, day by day. And in that process, we need a spiritual practice, a way to return to stillness when the inner waves rise. One of the most beautiful practices Yogananda taught is the peace and harmony prayer. It's simple, yet deeply powerful. Whenever you feel conflict with your mother or daughter, sit quietly, close your eyes, and imagine her before you. Not in the old image of argument or blame, but bathed in warm golden light. The light of compassion, of life itself. Breathe slowly in and out, and in your heart, repeat softly, "Lord, fill her with peace and harmony, peace and harmony, peace and harmony." Let the words flow through you like a calm wave. Feel the energy moving through your heart, your shoulders, your breath. After a minute, imagine that same golden light surrounding you. Then whisper, "Lord, fill me with peace and harmony, peace and harmony, peace and harmony." Just a few minutes. But if you do it regularly, something will begin to change. Not in the other person first, but in you. Many have told me that after a time of practice, they notice their tone softening, their anger fading, and almost miraculously, the other person began to change as well. Why? Because the energy of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity naturally expands outward. The Buddha said, "Mind is the root of all things." When we plant seeds of peace within, the world around us begins to bloom in harmony. Another practice I deeply cherish is the golden light meditation. Imagine your mother or your daughter sitting before you, with all the distance, the hurt, the misunderstandings between you. Then in silence, see golden light radiating from your heart, surrounding her completely. Don't try to send apologies. Don't wish for her to change. Just see her as peaceful, whole, and free. If emotions arise, tears, anger, tenderness, let them come. It's not weakness. It's old energy being released. And when the tears fall, know that you are washing away layers of pain carried across generations. I once guided a mother through this meditation. She said, "At first, I didn't believe it would work. It seemed too simple. But one day, while meditating, I saw my own mother, who passed away 20 years ago, smiling and saying, 'I know that you finally understand.' I began to cry, but for the first time in years, I felt free. I smiled and said softly, 'Because you no longer needed to win. You just wanted to love.' That is the essence of transformation. When we release the need to control, love returns naturally. Remember this. Every small act of patience changes generations. When you pause before saying a harsh word, when you choose a smile instead of anger, when you send a blessing instead of resentment, you are rewriting the emotional history of your entire family. Not just for today, but for those who will come after you. If you can practice this daily, just 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, you will feel a real change. Not magic, but the gentle softening of the heart. And from that softened heart, every word and action you offer will carry healing energy. In Buddhism, there are the 4 immeasurable qualities: loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Loving kindness is the wish to bring happiness. Compassion is the wish to ease suffering. Joy is to celebrate others' joy. Equanimity is to let go of attachment and control. When we live these 4, the bond between mother and daughter is no longer a battlefield. It becomes a daily path of awakening. Every word becomes an opportunity to practice loving kindness. Every misunderstanding becomes a chance to practice equanimity. Every joy of the other becomes our joy. And every pain of the other calls forth our compassion. Try it tonight. Take 3 slow, mindful breaths. Then think of someone you've been in conflict with and whisper, "May I be at peace. May my mother be at peace. May all beings be at peace." If you can do that, even for 1 minute, you've already walked halfway toward liberation. Practice is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming lighter. And in that lightness, what once felt heavy will begin to dissolve. Because in the end, we weren't born to conquer one another, but to learn how to love one another with understanding. Part 6. Deliberation, Freedom and Legacy. When one person begins to forgive, the universe quietly smiles. Because forgiveness is never just between 2 people. It is the sound of a bell awakening an entire lineage of karma waiting to be released. I once told a woman during a meditation retreat in Oregon, when you release the burden in your heart, you are not only freeing yourself, you are helping generations yet to be born find their freedom. She grew silent, and tears began to fall. She whispered, "I never realized that my forgiveness could touch people I've never even met." But that is the truth of energy. What we do not heal, we pass on. And what we transform ripples outward like waves of peace, reaching those we love most, even beyond our lifetime. If you find yourself repeating your mother's patterns, her worry, her anger, her self-sacrifice, know that you are living within an invisible thread of karma. But the moment you pause, take a deep breath, and whisper to your heart, "I choose a different path," that thread begins to dissolve. In that very instant, you have changed the course of a river. When a mother forgives her daughter, she is also forgiving her own mother, and the generations of women who came before her, those who lived in silence, endured, and never once heard the words, "You did well." When a daughter learns to smile instead of reacting, she heals the little girl within her mother, the one who was once afraid, unseen, unloved. So each time you choose understanding over judgment, patience over anger, love over blame, you are performing the most sacred act. You are ending the cycle of suffering. Someone once asked me, "Teacher, when I forgive, do I lose something?" I smiled and said, "No, you lose nothing. You are simply setting down a weight that was never yours to carry. And when you release it, you regain your wings." Forgiveness does not mean saying, "Everything is fine." It means seeing things as they are and choosing not to let the past dictate the future. When one soul becomes free, it sends out a vibration that other souls can feel. That is why, when one person in a family awakens, the entire lineage begins to lighten. Perhaps you've noticed this yourself. After some time practicing compassion, your anger toward your mother fades, and suddenly, others in your family begin to soften too. It's not coincidence, it's the power of vibration. Peaceful energy always moves in circles, like ripples spreading across a pond when you drop a single pebble. One small ripple, infinite reach. Yogananda once said, "When you heal yourself, you heal generations of suffering." From a spiritual view, mother and daughter are not just roles in this life, they are souls walking together through many lifetimes. They meet again not to wound, but to learn the final lesson of love. One learns to love without condition. The other learns to receive without fear. When both understand this, their love transcends all roles, becoming a love of the heart, not personal, but eternal. Imagine if in every family just one person stopped judging, stopped demanding, stopped running away, and simply sat down and breathed. What a different world this would be. No great act required. Just one peaceful heart is enough to bring light into an entire home. As the Buddha taught, a single candle can light 1,000 others and never lose its flame. When you practice forgiveness, you become that candle. And the light you emit travels farther than you can imagine, to your children, your friends, even to souls you'll never meet. And in the end, after all the journeys, the tears, the awakenings, we return to where we began, to love itself. When you look back at your mother or at your daughter, you may realize that through all the pain, there was always a shining thread connecting your hearts. Not the thread of blood, but the thread of a soul's vow. We will meet again to learn how to love more completely. That is true liberation. Not escaping from the other, but seeing the other within yourself and smiling at both. Because in the end, all souls are returning to the same place. A place where love has no conditions, where forgiveness needs no words, where every wound becomes light. Forgive her. Forgive yourself. You were never enemies, only souls helping each other return to love. Conclusion: the return to love. If you've stayed with me until now, please allow me to say one thing. Thank you, from the depths of my heart. You've just walked through a journey that wasn't easy, a journey of reflection, of letting go, of forgiveness. And perhaps you've realized the love between a mother and a daughter was never truly lost. It was only hidden beneath fear, beneath unspoken words, beneath tears that never fell at the right time. But that love has always been there, waiting to be seen, waiting to be called by its true name. Do you feel a little lighter now? Have you noticed that the very thing that hurt you most is also where your greatest lesson was waiting? Yogananda once said, "Souls who love each other will always find one another across lifetimes." Mother and daughter, they are not enemies. They are two actors in a long play about love. No one comes to harm the other. We come to learn how to love more deeply, more freely, without condition. When you forgive your mother, you are healing the generations of women before you. When you hold your daughter, you are opening a door for future generations to enter a gentler world. We often think liberation is something far away. But in truth, it begins the moment you whisper in your heart, I understand. I let go. I still love. I want you to try something. Right after this video ends, sit quietly, close your eyes. Think of the person you've had conflict with, your mother, your daughter, or anyone else. And softly whisper, may she be at peace. May I be at peace. That's all. The rest, the universe will take care of. Would you be willing to try? And tell me, if each of us did this for 1 minute a day, how different might our world become? I believe that every drop of kindness can flow together into a great river of healing for humanity. And you are part of that river. Thank you for listening with your heart. Thank you for your courage to look within. Thank you for choosing love over resentment. If this story touched something in you, help it reach another heart. Click subscribe to walk this path of mindfulness and peace with us. Tap like, share, and tell me in the comments, what lesson did you learn for yourself today? Who is the first person you'd like to send peace to? I'll read every message you share, because each reflection is a seed of awakening. May you always be healthy, peaceful, and surrounded by pure, unconditional love. Every blessing finds its way to the one whose heart is open. From my heart to yours, forgive her, forgive yourself, and return, always, to love.